after the initial agreement. But he said if you fund them at 110, they can do about half the runs. I'm guessing reading between the lines, it's the runs that are prior to 3 PM that are the most heavily used. If you flat fund them from last year, I'm guessing the service will decrease from there. And then Talbot, he's gonna have to work with Talbot on getting,
I kind of feel like we've already discussed it, and then we should leave it alone. $20,000 is $20,000. And I realize that it's important, but we're struggling with the budget to balance, and it's just not maybe the right time.
Yeah, I like the idea of them, and I appreciate him getting back to you, us. And I sure hope that they can look at those numbers and maybe increase the funding where there's more service as opposed to less service. I think that's, I think people should be paying for the services that they're not.
increase the user fee.
Or yes.
You mean the county?
The county,
Oh,
yes. the
Clearly,
county,
that's
yes.
happening.
Yes.
That is happening by the
Yes.
very notion of offering funding recommendations.
Now, I mean, the user
or
fee, I
funding
hope can
levels.
stay, personally, and we haven't even discussed this, but I hope the user fee stays the same. You know, the people that are using this, obviously, probably really need to use it.
I can ask him if Kent County pays 91,719, what does that buy us?
And that's the number we paid them last year.
I think that's the number that's in there right now.
Right. It'd certainly be worth going back to him with that, and then
We'll see where.
we can see where it is, and maybe if he has those, and those numbers might be in here, but those user numbers say we're gonna get the services will stop at 1 o'clock.
They provide 6 routes.
One route. It's
One
route
route
number
in
4.
Kent County, but
Right,
6.
6 times
6 times.
daily.
It would be interesting to know,
Yeah.
what are we losing if we don't?
Yeah, exactly, what are the people losing?
I'll find out.
Okay, so 978,000 is the magic number right now. On the recurring side, this is kind of where it needs to come from. The public schools, the new positions, salary increase. I'm looking at the operating to see what we can take out there, and we were also talking about looking at water, wastewater services in conjunction with the capital today. So, I'm not sure if we want to move on to capital, or if you want to.
Just one more time so that I can get it in my head. But Board of Education,
Yes.
you tell me, what are they using out of the budget that they got now? If they use it all, whatever's left.
There's $500,000 left that that $500,000 that they call contingency in their fund balance, they have not used.
They haven't touched it.
They haven't touched it.
But there was another one
There
that
was
had.
$1 million and they pushed all of that. That was.
There's nothing left in
There's
that.
nothing left in that. The only thing left is that $500,000.
So in the current year,
That's what I'm
FY
talking about.
'25, there's about 1.4 million scheduled to, no, it's more than that, isn't it?
It was 1.7, but they came in and asked for a budget adjustment.
2.4 million.
Right.
And so they have, right now in today's budget, the FY '25 budget.
Okay, that's what I'm having a hard time.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're talking about just 500,000 was in last year, that's left from last year.
Are you talking about what they're using in their budget? Or what's in the,
The operating budget that they're in now,
2.4?
what is left, what is in there?
Well, there was 2.4 last year and there's $1 million this year.
next year.
Next year, I'm sorry, FY '26, they have $1 million in. FY
The year we're
'25,
working in is the year I wanna
2.4.
know. Huh?
2.4.
In theirs right now.
Right. So if they use every penny of that what is left is 1.5 million that can be used some other time for some other purpose.
Okay, so
But they're.
they got $1.5 million, you're saying that they could carry over?
But they put $1 million in,
Which left 500,000.
leaves $500,000.
Suppose they put the whole $1.5 million in?
Well, that's,
That's their only choice at this point. They could throw
Well, that's what I was saying, that,
right.
They could throw $500,000 more in, and they would have absolutely nothing. I mean, that would exhaust.
Assuming they spent every penny.
does that make almost $2 million now?
No, it's more.
It-
That's
The-
3 point,
But you're talking about FY '25, I think he's talking about, which year are you talking about, '26? Or 20?
They're in 25, right?
Right.
right.
I want to know how much is available money is in FY '25, '26, that can be, that will go over into '26 and '27
into their fund balance.
into their fund
So
balance.
what was on their audited financial statements showed that they had $1 million that was unassigned, that could be moved, and they had 500,000 in that pot. She took that $1 million and put it into her budget request for FY '26. So what it's leaving is that $500,000 they still have that they could push forward.
Yeah, well, when you said she already took that, you keep saying she already took that $1 million. I was thinking about she spent it 24,
Oh, but she already put
25.
it in her FY '26 budget, I'm
Okay, so
sorry.
she's took $1 million, the $1 million that was left, and she's gonna put it in this coming budget.
Correct.
The one we're working on.
Yes,
Plus, there's another 500,000.
correct.
That she could take. So
Yeah.
that's $1.5 million
Yes.
that will go into this budget, and then we're gonna give her 815,000.
No, that's already included.
That's all right.
But in additional money,
Because we don't have an option.
It
on
ain't
that one.
there till we get it there, I mean.
Well, but it's
That's
mandated by
what's
state
mandated.
law.
That's what's mandated.
So it's already
to
built
us.
in.
Right. But she gotta,
if you look at the Kent County Public Schools tab, the first page shows the breakdown of the revenue, and I think that might be helpful.
Basically, when we started today, she was still asking for 801,000
Above our
above the
815.
mandated amount.
To me, with the 500,000 that she has in her rainy day fund, contingency fund, whatever you want to call it, and as Commissioner Fithian suggested, if she uses that 500,000,
So the first page.
we're down to 301.
Right.
Okay, go to
So the
the,
request on the table would be 301,000, and that would be them expending
I think you're
every
closer
penny.
than I'm getting.
Every-
page 3 under the Kent County Public Schools tab, shows the revenue breakdown, shows the fund
In
balances.
front runner.
No,
Wait a minute.
it's the last,
Oh, you got it.
I think it's the last tab, Kent County Public Schools.
Oh, okay.
See if I can get it on the screen.
What page are we on?
So it's the third page. Here, I'll get it up on the screen for you. So this shows the revenues. So right here in their fund balance, this first column is FY '25. She's using $2.4 million. In FY '26, she's using $1 million. So she has $500,000
Her
based on.
plans are to take the $1 million out of, I'm gonna call it this year's budget, this one,
Yes,
and try to get it over and use it to go over into this. So the additional funding, she's gonna get $1 million out of her budget of this year.
but she used 2.4 million last year, so there's actually a decrease in revenue to them. Because last year she put in 2.4, and this year
Yeah, but she's getting rid of 36
Right,
positions. I mean, I understand that I'm looking at what new money is she gonna get? Well, that way it wouldn't be new money, but she's carrying it over, this $1 million.
right. So if we were to flat fund, if we were to fund maintenance of effort, right now, their budget from last year was 34,866 down there on the bottom. Ooh, sorry. And right now, this has 800,000 that we could take out. So if we take that 800,000 out and flat fund them, she'll have basically a $34.2 million budget. So their budget, for the first time that I think, Ronnie, I can ever remember in 30 years, could go down in total.
Right.
They would have less revenue in
Probably
total.
by $500,000.
Yeah, a couple $100,000, yeah. If we fund the maintenance of effort and we pull that 800 out, they'll be several $100s below in FY '26 what they were in FY '25.
Which would mean further reductions from the 36 staff.
What, let me try it this way. What is the total amount of money that they're taking out of this year's budget that they're gonna use in next year's budget?
I'm gonna say none, because it's not assigned right now.
Okay.
They're not taking it out of any budget. It's just sitting there.
It's in their fund balance. I mean, it's sitting, what the money that, I'm
Who's
not
on
sure.
first?
I'm not sure I'm understanding your question. So I think this is kind of the clearest way to maybe look at it. A big problem for them is that they used 2.4 last year and they only have $1 million. So even though they're asking for 800,000 more from us, or they're asking for $1.6 million because we haven't taken the 800 out, that drop in fund balance, their revenue is going down by $1.4 million. And that's what's causing a big part of the problem for them.
And the revenue's due to, well, several things, but.
The COVID money and-
Declining enrollment and.
Declining enrollment.
All lumped on top.
A lot of things.
So right now, she's only asking us to put 815,000 in, plus a 801.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
so that's that $1.6 million right down here. So she's asking for us to put in $1.6 million, and then the state funding is going up 200, and then the other funds are going down. And most of the reason the other funds are going down is that fund balance number right up in here, because it was 2.4 and now it can only be $1 million. So, even with her $1.6 million that they're asking for from us, their budget is only going up 353. So when we take that if we were to take that 800 out, their budget would actually be going down $400,000 or $500,000. And I don't think I've ever seen a school board budget go down.
I know we haven't. I guarantee you it's never went down.
But that's their
Especially with them 36 positions that they're cutting. That's a lot of people, a lot of money.
And
They
I think-
figured $100,000 apiece.
Yeah, and it was what, 200?
That's $3.6 million.
And it was 225 kids in 5 years?
Yeah.
And they definitely, right sizing, I think, is a good terminology for this, what she's trying to do with the budget.
All right, whatever, let's,
Does that answer
whatever you
your
want,
question?
wherever you want to go.
Just so I understand real quick.
Okay.
Good, because one of us up here's got to understand it.
We're mandated the 815,000.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
She's asking for 801 after what she's done so far with the 36 positions.
Yes.
And Commissioner Fithian asked her to use the 500 contingency money to help with the 801. If she uses that,
Then it's down to 301.
then it's down to 301.
Correct.
Yes.
Rough numbers.
Her ask on the table would be 301.
Okay, I got you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, hon, it ain't you, it's me.
I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, are we
Okay.
good? Okay. All right, so capital? That's small.
One other question, real quick, dealing with the school. Is there a way for us to find out what they project their spending will be in the rest of their budget this year, so we have an idea what kind of fund balance they're gonna have?
So it's a really good question, and I don't know if they formally do it like we do, where we make
Project it
everybody
out.
project it, and we actually take that number that we think we're gonna have and roll it into our calculations for what we have available. I don't know if they do that. I think it's a fair question, because every year there's something left over. I mean, they've never overspent their budget, so they always come in to some degree underneath. So even if they kick in that whole $500,000, the argument would be is they know they're gonna come in, there's gonna be something that gets dropped into that bucket when they close out the year better than budget.
And I think she addressed this when she presented the budget to the school board. But I can't remember, I want to say, and I'm just guessing here, I think it was 400,000 that she projected. I might be wrong about
To
that.
come out to the good.
When Pat and I met with her, we had broached this conversation, but my recollection is she said they freeze spending at some point, is it in April? And then they'll have a good idea of what that would be.
It might be interesting to know what they're,
Yeah,
after they decide to freeze,
yeah, it definitely should be part of the conversation.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so, the first, in your capital section, the first page shows the capital expenditures. We basically have 2,000,004 in requests. A lot of it is public works, and Dan's here to chat with us, I think, too. The second page is the leased vehicles, which I think we're still waiting for, Dan?
Yes.
Okay. Any ETA on them? And then the third page shows the capital projects, and we have just a little over 2,008,000. So we can walk through it by department, through the pages, it'll be easier to see. If you wanna just go through it by department, so on page 4, it starts with the Commissioner's office. And there really there isn't a request in there. Page 5 is finance. We have, I can speak to this one a little bit, we have a request in here for a redesign of the front office. We basically have 4 workstations out there, and we're trying to put 5 in there. We have one of we have a need for additional space. The problem with our office is it's really mixed use, so I don't know if you've ever been up there, but it's really open air. So we have 2 people that are working the front counter and 2 other people that are trying to do accounting work. And so it's a loud area. So some separation and some buffering, we think, would make a more conducive work environment. I think the furniture up there is 25 years old. And we do have some partitions up there, but I think they're also kind of, they're probably 20 years old. So we're hoping, that we might be able to do something to help with the sound up there, as well as incorporate one more work area. The next one. Here.
IT,
I'm sorry.
IT.
Yep, IT. Mouse isn't working on this paper.
And the 45,000, we don't have any choice, correct?
Oh, that was this year.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, wrong column. The batteries, we don't have any choice either, I don't think.
So, yeah, the battery upgrades.
I don't recommend
Yeah, I think we need to leave that in.
that one. We depend on IT.
Okay, and then after IT. On page 11, we have county roads, and we can walk through these. These are in order of priority. Let's see if we can make this a little bigger. I don't know if you want to walk through them, if you'd like Dan to walk through them, if you have questions.
So some of this capital could be paid out of fund balance
Well,
or one time.
I mean, we don't really have any more fund balance or contingency. Or you mean like the general fund
Yeah.
So right now,
Well, I'm talking about the one-time money,
in FY '25?
the one-time money that the county has.
So basically, all capital is requested to be paid for with the one-time fund balance.
right. So whether we did it this year, or whether we did it next year, it really wouldn't, it would come out of that same, that $12 million surplus that we have in one-time money is where this would be paid out of. So if either year, we could do it. So I don't know if timing-wise, then again, that would be a question for Dan, if any of these are.
So Dan did send us a spreadsheet last night where he estimated what could be a potentially an FY '25 candidate. I see the Wharton wastewater treatment plant chlorination system, Wharton sewer manhole monitor.
This is the entire Public Works.
Oh, excellent. That's exactly what I'm,
Column here, if I thought it might be appropriate for a FY '25.
so I don't have to squint. Thank you.
So the paper you have in front of you, I recognize and from some conversation, my budgets are always presented on a division-by-division basis. This puts everything on one sheet of paper in ranked order for all of Public Works. There are a handful that, if available, we could proceed with immediately and I think wrap up in FY '25. I also noted that there are some scenarios where, for example, the Vector truck, item 14, that one could be handled as a lease instead of a purchase, which would put us under 60,000 for FY '26. It would just be 5 years' worth of payments. There are certain ones, we asked for 2 mowers, for example. If we could get 1 instead of 2, it's noted on here if that may be appropriate. And at the bottom, the dump truck for roads, I noted, and since I've been here, we haven't received one within the same fiscal year we've bought it. So that could be a scenario where if we rolled over what we've already ordered, I could get approval to place the order in FY '26, realizing that we may not actually spend that funding until FY '27.
So what you've identified here with a yes in FY '25, you could go ahead and take care of these items that you've marked within your existing budget.
Not within our existing budget, but if there were funds available this year as opposed to next budget year, those are ones that are rather straightforward purchases and could be handled,
Before the end of the fiscal year.
yes. And those combined total about $90,500 out of the total of 5.26. And there are considerations as well. Historically, what we've done with paving is that roads that are paved get repaved as opposed to surface treatment. Typically, we're talking about neighborhood roads, smaller areas, residential, but the cost of paving a road is about
One suggestion I can give you, and only notice from, we did it one time, or it was done one time. If it's a housing development, if the county made them blacktop them when they put them in, for Lord's sakes, don't go back and put crusher run on top of it.
yes.
Because that, we, out there to,
Orchard.
Orchard Hill, we did that one time. We didn't, the commissioners, I'm not sure that we knew what was aware of it at the time, but we certainly got made aware of it after it was done.
That is the risk of doing that, yes. Yes. Surface treatment is about 1/5 the cost of paving.
On the other side of it, Dan, is there anything on here that could be delayed into FY '27 without causing great problems?
Yes, there are a couple that in the comments section, I noted option to defer. And as I mentioned to the dump truck for roads, $190,000. I don't at this time anticipate that will, if we order it July 1st, I don't know that we'll get it within the fiscal year. I would expect not to, based on recent years. So that order could be approved with an understanding that the funding will likely not be needed until '25. So, yeah, item 21 and 22 on the list, item 29, they're not the biggest items, but we did look what could most easily be deferred. There are items as well, number 30, the Village of Kennedyville funding that I'm hoping to have a bid out very soon for developers in that project, and if we get a good developer, that money is no longer needed.
Which one was that, Dan?
Number 30, the Village of Kennedyville. All the work in that scope is intended to be done by the developer.
The library roof is, we're trying to get a grant for that, it looks like.
Thank you, yes. So I actually, late last night, received word from the library that they have been awarded that grant, which is good news, certainly. If you recall, we had funding in place. The 133 was anticipated to cover replacement in kind of that roof. It's currently a shingle roof. We had submitted the grant to replace it with a metal roof. That building was designed to have a metal roof. It doesn't have the soffit vents that it should have for long-term life of shingles. And the total cost of that was estimated to be $600,000, and the grant's a 50-50 split.
Soffit
So
vents are pretty cheap to put in.
I don't have much experience. The contract that was helping us scope indicated it wouldn't be possible to retrofit, but I'm not saying it.
I'm sure he did.
Yep. So at this time, I believe we'd have the option of either increasing that line or responding to the grant agency with a reduced scope of project. And that would, in half might be extreme, but cut it probably at least a third of that cost out of that line. 'Cause I'm thinking 133 may not be enough in FY '26 to fund the new roof if we were to do shingles with upgraded vents. But if it was 150 at a 50-50 cut, that would reduce that number from 133 to 75.
That's a lot better than 300,000.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just one person here, but I certainly think that we should be pursuing that.
And I think the grant agency would be open to doing that as well. They mentioned there were projects that didn't receive funding, so potentially they could increase their impact as well.
I'd like to have a metal roof on my house too, but I can't afford it, so guess what?
Sure.
I got shingles.
Yep.
Well, I tend to agree with Albert. I mean, I have limited experience with roofs, but Albert, would it be reasonable to say that if you put the right shingle on there and it's
I
done
mean,
correctly,
I
25 or 30 years
I
out
would
of
say
shingle
that you're gonna
roof?
get 20 years, 25 or 30 years out of it. The metal roof will last forever, that is the other positive thing about that. And if we had, we were flush with cash, I would say that might be an alternative, but,
For the county's 50% share to be, more than double
right,
what the shingle would be,
particularly,
there's a value to that as
that's,
well.
exactly,
Yes.
that's, right.
So, yeah, we can certainly, like I said, I just got news on this yesterday, so I briefed our grant administrator about it, and she can prepare a request to reduce the scope and cut funding of the grant to be a shingle roof. This time last year, we had thought 133. I don't have an updated quote. I'd guess off the top of my head, maybe 160 for the project, so that number could potentially be cut to 80, but I'd like to.
Nothing's going down.
No, no. I could firm up that number in the next
I
week.
kind of agree that that's the way we should probably try to go for now.
Okay. I'd say 80 as a placeholder, but I can confirm that in short order.
Could the water wastewater current budget absorb any of the items? Those top three are rather small, with the Ys, the
Oh,
yes for
yes.
FY '25 candidate. 12,000 for Wharton wastewater treatment plant chlorination system, 12,500 for Wharton sewer manhole monitor, and the security cameras.
1,000 for the security cameras.
Collaborative.
I don't know that offhand, but I could have that answer probably tomorrow. Jeannie will be able to give me the answer.
Well, if you can, I would encourage you, and again, it's just me, to go ahead and do that out of your current budget if you can. Do you all agree?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
This Vector truck replacement, Dan, it's a large ticket item, obviously.
Yes.
And we have one now.
We do. This would be trading in the one we have now.
Right.
We're having a lot of issues with the actual pumping mechanisms and the style of components on that. So we'd be changing the vacuum pump and drive system on the new one. We have a quote, so this is coming off the lease. We have been paying a little over $33,000 per year towards it. If we were to lease a new Vector truck, it would be $57,110 per year for 5 years, as opposed to $252 to purchase it outright.
Okay.
And how old is the one that we have now?
I believe it's a 2016 that we have right now, and the vehicle portion, the driving is not in bad shape.
I
It's
was gonna say, it's probably got 10,000 miles on it, but it gets used heavily when it's used.
Yes,
Right.
yes, and, yeah, the actual, just the Vector element of it, the
Could we just
component
replace and I'm just thinking outside the box here, is there such a thing as just popping off the Vector system and putting it on that chassis?
I don't believe so, because I think there's a significant weight differential and things. I need to confirm that. Yeah, I need to confirm that.
And that may be an option. I mean, I know, people take, of course, I work for a lot of farmers and they'll do anything for anything, but,
Yeah.
it might be something to look into.
Yeah, and we do rely on that equipment. I mean, it has been out for extended durations in recent years, and we're
I
relying
mean, it only
on
makes sense that portion of
Right.
it is overly used and the chassis.
the chassis, the engine that drives the vehicle is not, yeah. And if we were without it, we'd be relying on third-party vendors and haulers, which we do when we need to now, but. And of course, this continues our building maintenance HVAC replacement program we've had in effect for a number of years. It includes the pump station pump replacement program we've had in effect for years, and it introduces,
How much, and I know we've talked about this, but just to refresh my memory, and maybe whoever's listening, the HVAC systems typically, when we replace them, are around 20 years old, is that correct?
30,
Okay,
30 plus, yeah.
okay.
Yep, and we have this, we propose 2 a year in this building, 3 a year in the courthouse. That has an average of about 27, 28 years of life.
And how
By the
many
time we get
systems
all
are
the
in
things.
each one of them?
I believe there's about 80 in the courthouse and close to about 57 to 60 in this building.
Okay.
So if we do in this building 2 a year, by the time we have gotten it all done, the first ones are starting to hit their end of
Right.
life again.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're introducing a new water tower maintenance program right now. It will be a 6-year program coming out of the inspections we had in this past year. That will be item 10.
Where is that water tower replace,
Number 10.
Number 10, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't-
Number 10, yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we had a number of recommendations from the inspections that occurred this year. All towers need some work, so we tried to break it into a 6-year program.
Well, I mean, that's a number there, and just me, that may be a number we have to trim down a little bit and.
Rockall just did maintenance on their water towers, and they were very public about posting the results. And it was definitely time, so I suspect, I don't know when the last time our water towers were rehabbed, but
Yeah, I think, I don't know the date, but I know last time that they were, it was a pretty simple sandblast and paint, and what we're looking at now is more than just another coat of paint, certainly.
And this is a yearly contract cost.
That would be, I mean, we wouldn't be signing up for for the water towers, we wouldn't be signing up for a 6-year contract.
That's just a projection of.
We took all the items that was on the, that was in the inspection report and strategically prioritized them and tried to do it in a way that would balance out, so at the end of the 6th year, we've completed all the work. But then after the 6th year, it wouldn't necessarily, I don't envision it restarting and being in perpetuity.
you can ignore it, but not for long.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think 21 and 22 on your list, I think could reasonably be deferred.
Which one was that, Dan?
21 would be the surface treat, Public Works staging storage lot. That area, it gets very much, right now it's just gravel.
And the
But
Sharptown drop-off center.
yeah, that bulkhead is certainly deteriorating. I don't see signs of imminent failure. It's, the timber tie wall is starting to bow substantially, but it doesn't get exposed to regular heavy loads. So I think, we could get another year or two out of it before looking to make a major repair.
Could we do some temporary,
Additional metal bracing to it or something, we probably could, yeah.
Jersey wall in front of it, would that help or be minimized? No?
It's pretty tall, it's
Okay.
like 10 feet, 9 feet,
Okay.
yeah.
If we deferred those 3 that you pointed out, 21, 22, and 29, it would move about 163,000 out. And also, I guess we're saying number 32, that 190 has no chance of coming in 26, so.
I expect, given the way vehicles are coming and anticipated, disruptions in supply chains and things, I would be very surprised if that came through in '26. I would still seek approval to make the order in '26, but almost certainly paying it in '27.
We're gonna push that out.
I do know, number one is the installation of the press. We've already bought the press. Number two is the Kennedyville Pump Station, $350,000. We're anticipating taking over $500,000 from allocation fees associated with finishing the development to fund that. So that the 350 would not be total project. That would just be in addition to allocation fees. Number three, the Fairleigh well. Number two, right now Fairleigh is running on one well that has no backup.
Would you please stop bringing that up?
Sorry.
Okay?
Yes.
I'm just teasing.
If
If we don't talk about it, nothing will happen.
Better start knocking.
And as I go down the list, like I said, there are certain that if we don't plan for it now, it's likely to happen in a 2-3 year horizon. And if we are dealing with failure as opposed to proactive, it's going to come at an increased cost if it was done via emergency.
So the silent press for Wharton, we've already bought that
Yes,
with ARPA money.
yes.
It's gotta be installed.
And the 375 is the cost of insulation.
Yes.
In Kennedyville, the 350 for the pump station replacement.
That's actually about a $900,000 project, but we would only move forward with that project if there was a successful sale of Kennedyville and the developer were to pay the allocation fees up front. We would take a large chunk of those allocation fees, add it to what's requested, and use that funding.
Can we talk about fund balance here for a minute? So we had mentioned at one point the fund balance, you estimated it was 23 million.
Yes.
And we talked about at some point during this process that we might want to designate certain portions for certain capital projects in the coming year, one being the middle school, one being the regional detention center. And would it be smart for us to, at this point in time, to go ahead and maybe allocate a certain, or set aside a certain number to put towards those two capital projects
So,
that are in the works?
And what about the Queen Anne's Technical Building at Chesapeake College? It looks like that one is fairly certain as well. That's a much lesser expense, but if you fence money off, it's all ready to go.
I think it would be wise to do that, and then we'll know exactly what our fund balance.
so if you look up on the screen, the
Okay.
23 you're talking about is ending FY '25. Right now, if we pay cash for all the capital that we have out there, we're gonna end with 17.2. So it's kind of, they're both involved. So if we reduce what we're, the one-time items, which are all capital, that are bringing that number down, then we'd have more than 17 million. But if we fund everything as it sits right now, 17 would be the number you're working with.
Then you need to fence off the 7.5.
5, yeah. so
Which is
it'd
our
be the-
target
And it
fund
would be the
balance.
11
7.5
point.
million.
Right,
Right.
and the reason for that, there's a multitude of reasons for that. I wouldn't, number one, that's our policy, is the 7.5%. But as revenue comes in through the year, it's very cyclical, and there are times of the year that we have to dip into that pot of money while we're waiting on the next revenue source.
So after that, it's the 11.8, 11.7. But that's assuming that we're gonna fully fund everything and take 5.5 million out of it to pay for capital this year in the
Well, I don't know
FY
that-
'26
Yeah,
budget.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
We're not gonna fund everything, well, I don't think, I'm not gonna fund everything, how's that?
We're gonna have to prioritize.
Right.
But I do think out of the 23 that we know that we have, and I'm just throwing these numbers out here, I don't know whether they're good numbers or not, but I'd like to see us set aside $10 million for the middle school project, just as a number to throw out there. And probably 5 million for the regional jail. That's 15. And then.
But now we're below our 7.5 already.
Yeah, we
We're
have,
right there.
really, it's that 11, right now as the budget sits, there's
Yeah.
there's
Are you
11
talking about
million.
percent? I thought you were talking about 7.5.
No,
No, the percent.
Yeah, the percent is at 5 million four.
Right,
So for
okay.
us to keep 7.5 million, so then we really would have 11.8 available to set aside as the budget sits right
Oh, I
now.
got you.
Right.
So if
I
you
got
cut more of the capital out, then you would have more
Okay.
after our reserves.
And what was Chesapeake College?
It's roughly a
1.5.
million.
right around $1 million.
Yeah.
Right, because they're gonna, likely the state's gonna come back and say they're gonna have to reduce the square footage, which means our projections will be less. I mean, I think it's a safe bet that it's gonna be around $1 million. It might be a little more.
I'd say I mean, in my opinion, if we have the fund balance, we just pay for that and not have to worry about borrowing money for that.
Oh, yeah.
And then
That one's so small.
we can, if we do that, that leaves us right around 10.
And what do you think the chances of us building a middle school are?
Well, I don't think it's very good, Ronnie, but I think at some point in time, we're gonna have to do, and I say that, I don't think there's any chance at all that we're gonna build a middle school that has been proposed to us,
No, it's too big.
because it's too big. But by the time they scale it down, the price will probably be, by the time they scale it down and we get, hopefully we get funding, yeah, every year, everything's going up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if it was $80 million last year, it's
Except
80,
everything's going up except the students.
students, well, and what the state seems to be kicking to the counties. But if it was 80 million last year or a year and a half ago, it's 88 million today. There's no doubt about it. But, I mean, I do think that having a placeholder there, because at some point in time, we're either gonna have to put up something or redo something.
So maybe we could maybe put a
Right? I
placeholder.
mean, you've been this longer.
No, I'm,
Not really
I hear
designated
what you're
certain
saying.
I
I
was
just,
gonna ask Shelley, I mean, if we earmark the money, it doesn't have to be specific by project, right? We can just make a general earmark for future capital projects.
you don't have, yeah, you can just.
Yeah.
It's
We're gonna
easier to
put this-
justify when you're in public to say what you plan on spending that for.
And if we were to fund all of these capital items, which we probably aren't, we'd have 11,764,000.
928 left.
And it's an action of the board that reserves it, so it's an action of the board. It's exclusively up to you to reassign it, reallocate it, any way you want. So if you
So-
decide on something, you just simply decide on something
Something moves
else.
faster than other things.
Right, that's exactly right.
Do we just take all of it and put it in a fund?
What do you call it all?
The 11.7,
11,
yeah. I mean, chances are the target fund balance is going to be at the 7.5%, is going to be greater than that anyhow, if we don't end up funding everything that's in there.
That's right. If you don't fund things, then obviously as a ratio that will come down.
So if I made a motion for 12 million, that would be okay.
Yeah, I mean, assuming,
When we get done with the capital stuff.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can wait until
Right, we'll
after
have
you
to wait.
make
We'll
the
probably wait
cuts,
till
if
we
you
get
wanna
the
have
cuts
a-
and then-
an exact, I mean,
Right. If you want us to put a mark on the wall right now, we can put a mark on the wall, but it's part of the budget process, so you won't actually adopt it until you adopt the budget.
and what
What
it'll,
do you think, Ronnie?
I don't know. What do we got left to go through as far as the budget?
the capital, and we have to, make those final decisions about the public schools and to balance out the recurring.
Well, being it's 10 minutes to 4, why don't we get ready to close up? And you, in the meantime, come back with us at the next one and show us what we've got, what the school wants, what we've committed to, and we'll see the difference. So we can all look at it.
A lot of times, you will also task Pat with finding line items that are recurringly not spent. And she has a spreadsheet and an easy way to identify which lines in which budgets. Would you also like her to take a look at those?
And we can usually find some dollars there, so we've already kind of started that process. Hopefully we can wrap that up by next week.
From what you've heard, how far away you think we are as far as balancing the budget?
So
But I know it highly depends on the Board of Ed's.
it's that 978,000 that we're still trying to get out of the recurring side. So, a lot of, once the Kent County Public Schools decision is made, then you'll narrow that down to what's gotta come out of the other categories. And the other categories would be, personnel, operating, and capital. Well, not the capital, really, it's just gonna be the personnel and the operating. And I'm gonna look and see what I can find in the operating. So I think that's the largest decision that'll narrow that number down.
I don't think it hurts to earmark
If,
12 million in fund balance. Just to make a note of it, that it's our intention right now to try to earmark 12 million. It doesn't mean that we can't go
I
back.
don't have a problem with that, no.
It doesn't mean that we can't go back and take whatever we need to fulfill.
We can do whatever we want with it.
what do we do with that?
Technical building in the FY '26 projection?
It's in FY '26.
It is,
We have
okay.
to put the out
So-
years in there.
So it's included in
Because it says, I think it's $100,000,
something like that,
$200,000
right?
number.
And, right, the
We're
heavy
waiting-
lift is 27.
Yeah, we're waiting for the
28.
out year construction figures.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
What do we do with that money,
Which,
the $12 million?
so we would actually do a transfer out of the general fund into the capital projects fund, and it'll sit as a reserve fund balance in the capital projects
Where does
fund.
it sit?
On the balance sheet in fund balance.
But you
No,
mean physically
Physically,
located
physically located.
in a bank?
What bank?
Which bank?
No, I'm saying, is there ways, and I'm just asking, I'm new, could we do a CD, could we do,
So Pat looks at that
So we do
every
an
year.
investment bid every
Okay,
year, once we
okay.
collect our money, and so.
That's what I meant,
It's in, our money's basically in 3 institutions right
okay,
now.
I mean,
so,
hopefully
yeah.
better than just the .02%
Well,
of.
I
Yeah,
think
we do a bid every year to.
in the
to
past
place it.
year or
Okay.
two, we've been using the MILJIP, right?
We're also, using,
Which is
I knew we had
Maryland
done that with
fund.
Right.
some money, because we okayed that or a while back.
and we also have 2 other,
Yeah,
yeah,
Right.
because just to keep it diversified,
Yeah.
our highest interest rates, which are going up, which is,
Well, that's why, again, while I'm
right,
asking. is
exactly.
because
yeah, we do a public.
I'm not asking to put it in the Tesla, I'm saying that we should be doing something like that.
I can give you my account.
Okay, well, we can certainly do that, but,
$978,666. If it weren't for the mandates, we'd be looking, wouldn't have to sit here until 4 o'clock a
No.
lot of times, would we?
superintendent uses that 500 rainy day fund.
Well, I think if she wants
I
that
think
far,
she's
she's gonna have
committed
to, and I think she does see
We're
no reason.
we're a lot closer than 978,000.
Right.
So really, we're
Do you wanna make
300.
that assumption?
Do I want to make it? No, but I think it's going to be her decision, because she's the one that's got to live with the budget, but, and, I mean, that's what we've asked her to do, and hopefully she'll be able to do that.
So if she takes that extra 500,000 out, we're down to 378,000, is that right?
So,
For,
478.
Yeah.
right. Assuming that you fund the 301 left on the table for the schools.
so when she makes her decision, it might make it easier for you to make your decision.
Well, it certainly will. And I was happy to see that they're going to start more earlier next year.
Do you tentatively want Pat to adjust that, the 500 out?
I would. I mean, it's not, I don't want it just sitting there.
And Dan, your sheet was very, very helpful, I think, so.
A lot of big numbers on there, Dan. You're a pretty high maintenance guy.
I am, yes.
Headache.
A lot of them old sewer systems, that one down Eadsville, they were just finishing it the first time I was elected in '94.
I know it's not a big number, but the ones that Dan has identified that can be deferred, do we want to move those out to
Yes.
27?
Yeah.
That'd be a start.
It's a start.
So I think we're
And
talking
look,
about 21 and 22.
Carrying a balance like what John's talking about putting away, we've got a safeguard there. If we make the wrong decision, we pay for it, and something happens, we pay for it out of
I
that.
can compare our numbers, I think it's around
Because that's,
400.
all that stuff is a one-time fund, really.
Right.
That'd at least be a start.
Yep.
Huh?
That'll be a start at the capital.
And let us see that, and then we'll be fresh, and we'll finish it up next time.
Okay.
You gonna put the 4% in there?
That's in there, right?
Is there a cost to the county or benefits going up?
Yes, so
The
benefits are
insurance
going
is-
up, and that's in there already also.
Yeah, insurance is killing us, but killing everybody.
Oh, yeah. Until you need to use it, then you call them, and
Well, that's
they
right.
deny.
Yeah.
So next week, there is no regularly scheduled commissioner meeting. So we basically have blocked the day for budget work session. We can take as little or as much time as you want. There are a couple of presentations, presenters that will be in. And then we can crunch until we can't crunch anymore.
So we're coming in at what time next week? 10?
I believe the start time is 10.
Or the veterans coming in with their, I know they had a written request.
All right, we're done?
Need a motion, or are we good?
Call it. Just adjourn it.
Where's your gavel?
Yep, where's the gavel? Bang it.
Well, being it's a work session, I don't know that we really need to, but I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Just don't
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
break the
All
glass.
opposed,